この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Wednesday's show, and it's Ousama ranking, baby. Woohoo! Last week's episode was lovely and there's plenty to talk about, and this week's episode apparently starts with some recap, but only a couple minutes of it, and then it'll be into new stuff and potentially a new OP. Sweet. I'm excited about that. I'm going to start this off with a little anecdote from a moment ago. So I got out of the shower about an hour ago. You can tell because my hair's already dry. But I got out of the shower about an hour ago and immediately had the hiccups. Like, immediately got the hiccups. And you know that feeling of the hiccups where you try to, like, fill your breath and you, like, push your diaphragm down and fix it somehow, and it just won't work. It just won't work. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm waiting for last week's episode to be, like, uploaded on BitChute and getting everything ready and doing the thumbnail and stuff. I'm like, come on, please, these hiccups have to stop. Holy shit. And they wouldn't stop and they wouldn't stop and they wouldn't stop. And eventually I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make like a 30-second video where I'll just say like, hey everybody, I'm having really a hard time with hiccups, and it's like a real problem and I can't record right now. As soon as I click record on the camera, nothing. No hiccups. They're just gone. So I'm sitting here like, well, okay then. I guess I'll set up and get going. Let's run it while we can. So that's what I'm doing. But I was sitting here like, I'm actually not going to be able to record because I cannot prevent myself from hiccuping right now. And then they just stopped as soon as I committed to that. Like, super weird. Anyway, weird moment and just a strange experience on my end, but that's totally fine. Last week's episode of Ousama ranking, oh baby, there was a good chunk of focus on Daida. He met young Miranjo, which sounds like a bad rapper name, inside his own darkness place, and how she got there, we don't know. But she is not real, and has no hands, and a fucked up face, and was apparently super mutilated by a whole bunch of spectral people, as a revenge thing, because she seems to have hurt them, and killed them, potentially, and it seems bad, and they seem very much vehement about how justified they are in, mutilating a little girl. There might be some issues with that sort of mindset. There's like a problem there, right? But the experience and the things that we saw, I think, led into some really fun discussion, both from Daida's side of things and from Miranjo's, talking about the Jungian idea of the shadow and the concept of, how do I put it, well, first off, recognizing your own ability to cause harm, and then the ways in which we can manifest that into power within the world, and not just power, but also the ability to protect, or the ability to save, or the ability to be powerful enough to have a kingdom that is bountiful, and supports the people who have less than. And then this led us into a meandering discussion of some of the evolutionary traits of humans and our traits within societies, as well as a solid discussion, I think, of the ways in which certain types of characters in stories acquire the ability to cause harm without themselves becoming a monster or becoming one who causes harm. And I think that's a really cool concept and a really cool topic, and one of my favorite topics to talk about in the midst of media, because I think it's fucking truth. And that led us into, the fact that it feels like truth to me, led us into a broader discussion about the nature of sort of underlying human truths in media, and the resonance idea that I keep coming back to, and that I talked about a lot in Sympho Gear, and I finally realized it was relevant to this discussion as well. But it's at that point that I want to branch off and start doing some comment spotlights, because there are a bunch of cool comments that are already in, and I want to talk about a couple of them. So the first one that I want to talk about comes from Pencil Sharp 333, and is about the concept of, in this case, of universality in music and art, or the idea that I presented as, like, truth and resonance with truth. Pencil Sharp 333 writes, I slightly disagree with universality in music and art based on ideas I learned mainly from Adam Neely's music theory video essays. Our culture, upbringing, and other experiences and expectations can significantly alter the way we perceive things. Those qualities that seem right or good are not necessarily intrinsic, although our pattern of understanding them may be. So the truth you're talking about is not universal like math or physics. but more like fundamentals of human experience and emotion. Those things are also extremely valuable to talk about, but I think the distinction is also important. And then writes, hope this makes sense. I'm struggling to word this thought. I think you made sense. I think that the thought that you present makes perfect sense, and I think it's pretty like patently obvious, I think. And that's not to detract from it. I'm glad that you are jumping in and trying to make the distinction. Um, but the truth of that situation is that if you grew up in a society that values one thing over another, you might have different perspectives on the universality of those things. But I do think that when it specifically with music, there's something about rhythm that is like pure. And so while I'll accept your distinction when it comes to music and art. Absolutely, as well as when it comes to the goals and what is viewed as good by any society, and then like what is the goal that we're getting at? Is what is the type of person that is held up within this society as ideal? And what is it that makes them ideal? For example, in a brutal society, in a society that is built around conflict, the ideal might be physical strength, and their art and their culture would lean in that direction in depictions of those things. Whereas a like maybe more balanced society would maybe lean in different directions than that, right? It makes sense to me. But I do think that there is something universal in rhythm in particular, and I think that my point about this piece of media hitting a bunch of cultural beats in a rhythmic way, and moreover the points about dancing to music and the human experience of vibing with universal fundamental underlying reality, I think is still true. I understand that like culturally you'll have a different interpretation of what that music is, and there's a reason that like if you find an average 60-year-old and you have them listen to today's top 40, they might not be a big fan, right? There's a huge gap there in terms of the way that people experience things and how their experience of things makes them feel. But I think if you take that same average 60-year-old and you have them listening to top 40, and as long as you put a song that has a beat to it, they'll probably end up tapping their foot, right? Even if it's not their type of music. And there's something powerful about that. Anyway, I'm struggling in turn to word the thought in exchange with you, Pencil Sharp, but I think your initial thought was well and effectively brought up. And I think that the prime distinction that you make, where these are not universal truths like math or physics, but are instead fundamental emotional or experiential truths of human beings, is a solid point, and I agree with it. Now, Bill DeWitt has a very cool response to this comment, which is, he writes, as a mathematician, I think people oversell the universality of maths. Sure, you can say some things are objectively true or false, but these statements are implicitly underpinned by what axiom system you're using, i.e. what basic statements you're assuming are true. What's more, this axiomatization of mathematics only started to become the norm relatively recently in the 1800s and 1900s. Prior to that, people were making implicit assumptions of obvious truths. Nowadays, the ZF axioms are easily the most common, but there are many other axiom systems people use, such as TST and NF, so this is far from universal. What's more, and this is where I can actually talk about this, Gödel's incompleteness theory. Is it Gödel? It's Gödel. God, pronounce. I think it's Gödel-Escher-Bach, right? So it's Is it Gödel? No, it's Gödel. Okay, I thought so. Gödel's incompleteness theorem essentially says there will never be a truly universal system, as it says that any axiom system that we can create is incomplete. There are statements in that system which cannot be proven true or false. And even in ZF, we know many such statements, such as the continuum hypothesis. There are no cardinals between the cardinality of the naturals and the cardinality of the reals. Now we're getting into real math stuff. And the axiom of choice. Products of non-empty sets are always non-empty. Okay, so Bill, this goes into some math stuff that I'm not familiar with enough to actually talk about. In fact, I would have to look up ZF axioms to know what the fuck you're talking about, so let me do that. Zermelo-Frankel set theory. Yes. Sure, that makes sense. It's a series of axioms and a set of choices, and it gets really creepy in math, and I don't math. I do, however, have some familiarity with the incompleteness theorem, and in particular with the lovely book, Gödel-Escher-Bach, The Eternal Golden Braid. Something that I would highly recommend that anyone who's intrigued by such things check out. It is It's not as dense as you'd think, given that it's a math-oriented text about the nature of reality and the human mind, but it is about the nature of reality and the human mind and the axiomatic systems that we use to describe our world and how those how they break down and how incompleteness and the way that concept can be applied to so many different things becomes really, really interesting. It's also full of a ton of really intriguing anecdotes, and it's got a really cool way of expressing them. So uh, I can't argue with your comment, Bill DeWitt, because I don't understand it completely. I'm too stupid. But I will say that yeah, no, 100%. We like to say that things are objectively true or false, but that relies on the system that we're looking at them in and or the perspective that we're looking at them in. In fact, I think that element of things is sort of fundamental to the way that I try to experience media because that nature of perspective is so important. Like not only my perspective on a piece of media is intriguing, but everyone else's perspective on that piece of media is intriguing. And then there's this layer where through the filter of my own perspective, I'm actually experiencing someone else's perspective as they've presented it in their piece of art or work or creation. And so I'm actually incorporating other pieces of other people's not only perspectives, but to use the word perspective as a shorthand essentially for axiomatic set theory with which they incorporate ideas and figure out the world, right? But figuring out other people's versions of those is really great. It's really helpful, and I love doing that in media. So that's the thing. Okay, continuing to move on, Anatham Suresh, my guy. My mind also went immediately to the story of Siddhartha Gautama when Daida is brought out to see the people. I'm not sure if the lesson got through to Daida at the time it was taught, nope, but he did manage to pick up on it later in life through self-reflection, which feels true to life. Probably my favorite segment from this episode. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I titled that episode I'm a fool because it's my favorite line in the episode by far. We get this straight moment where we see Daida as a young man, and we got the two guys just telling him this is the way that things are, man, and he's just like, I don't get it, it's stupid. And then we hard cut to Daida sitting in pain, like pure pain land, just like, oh, oh, okay, lovely. As for characters that fall into the category of taking down monsters without becoming monsters, my mind immediately went to Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yep, good one. Good pull. I won't say exactly what. Yeah, you're not going to spoil it for us. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's that. It's like a 3-episode fucking struggle where he's trying to figure out what the fuck to do and he can't figure it out. He has to talk to the underlying the spiritual connectedness of nature to figure out a way to make things happen via the big turtle. It's fucking sick. It's great. It's thematically perfect. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a great show, and everybody should watch it a lot. Continues on, the bit with Miranjo, I'm not sure what to make of it. It does feel like the show is signaling that maybe she's not completely a lost cause, but I suppose time will tell. Yeah, me too. We'll see. I enjoyed your deep dive into societal structures and fundamental truths, albeit I'll have to disagree with the idea that art reflects eternal truths. I will say that most art reflects a fundamental touchstone of the society in which it was cultivated, and that this can vary from society to society. Art made by one society can feel nonsensical to people of another due to their values being different, a fundamental inability to contextualize. However, there are some universal aspects to art that can be appreciated across cultural boundaries that spring from commonalities in the human experience. I'm not sure where I'm going with this post at this point, so I'll leave it there. Looking forward to the next one. Okay, again, same idea as Pencil Sharp presented, just presented in a slightly different way. And I think, again, it's true. However, I think, again, and I do like the last line. I'm going to focus on that. However, there are some universal aspects to art that can be appreciated across cultural boundaries that spring from commonalities in the human experience. I think that's really important. I think we pretty universally, now this is going to seem silly, it's just going to be a single poll, and you can argue against it, and that's fine. Green and brown together. Trees and leaves. We're monkeys, right? We grew up in trees and leaves. We like those colors together. They make us feel at home. Green, in general, makes us feel calm, generally. Blue, in general, kind of makes us wake up a little bit. Put blue and green together, put green on the bottom and blue on the top, and it feels natural to us because that's the sky and then the trees that we live in, right? Or if you put a field of green and you put little bits of bright, sparkly color in it, that's pretty appealing to us in some ways because it looks like flowers or maybe fruits and things, and we're zoned in on figuring those out, right? These things are pretty close to universal in the same way that that rhythmic beat is pretty universal amongst humans. And maybe it's because we're vibing with physics, and maybe it's because we were spent 9 months hearing our mother's heartbeat, and that's soothing to us. Either way, it's pretty universal. I don't think I don't think you can like make a statement and be like, oh, no, this culture, they don't get rhythm. They don't rhythm. They don't do it. They only do triplets. They only vibe to triplets, man. To musical triplets. That's the only thing that they can do. They don't do a 1-2. No. Nah. You hit them with a straightforward 4 on the floor beat and they're gonna be like, ew. They're not gonna like it. That's crazy. Rhythm is universal. It's unifucking versal. And I think there are various levels of reasoning for that, and one of them would be the heartbeat, and one of them would be the fact that literally everything in the universe is vibrating at specific rates, and we're not aware of it consciously, but it is part of our experience, and music helps us tap into that, I think. In any case, yeah, I agree with your comment. I'll agree and admit that art doesn't always reflect eternal or universal truths. But then the line after, that it reflects a fundamental touchstone of the society in which it was cultivated, is almost the same thing. Because, like, your whole reality is built around that society. Your whole experience of everything. This gets back to the axiomatic perspective idea. Your whole reality is built around the society that you grew up in. And your concept of everything is pretty much constructed. The things that connect across those boundaries are the most interesting things, and I think art and music are some of those things. They connect across those boundaries. But I don't know. Okay, and I am going to skip a couple of other comments and move over to, this will be the last one for today. This is a comment from Anthony Chen. It's actually a question for me, and I'd like to answer it because I think it's an interesting question. It's also a very complimentary question, so a little pat on my back. Anthony Chen writes, how did you get to be so eloquent in your discussions? I don't think I am. I want to learn how to communicate more impactfully as you do. Okay, cool. First off, I'm not being humble. I think I know that I'm okay with this, at this, and I watch back my videos fairly frequently, and I'm like, damn, I did a good job there, but I fluctuate. Hard, right? They can't all be bangers. They can't all be bangers. There's a Digi video a long while ago when Digi was still bro and not nay. And Digi in that video expresses a concept. I think it's called "Content is not a hose." I think is the name of the video. Let me find it. No, I'm only finding art is fleeting, gimmicks are careers, which is a good video and you should watch that. But it's not the video that I'm looking for. And it's on an archive channel. The video was called "Content is not a hose," and the whole thing is Digi sitting in a room, back to a wall, and just talking to the camera, just chilling, and talking about how it's fucking crazy that people expect a content creator to constantly be creating like top tier stuff, like a faucet, right? Like, oh, it's content. You just turn the content faucet, and then brilliance spills out. But that's unrealistic. It's not how it works. For any type of artist, it's not how it works. And you can't have that expectation of yourself or of a creator. So all I'm saying is, like, you say, how did you get to be so eloquent in your discussions? The fact is that I happened to be in a very, like, solid, thoughtful mood, and my brain was synced up effectively with my mouth last Wednesday. I slept well. I was doing good. So that's the first step, is luck. It's the first step. You have to be a little bit lucky in order to have the right day and the right time to actually speak really eloquently. But if you are just trying to figure out how to express concepts more clearly and more effectively, there's no luck to that. It's straight up. I think last Wednesday's discussion on Ousama ranking was a quality discussion in which I was effectively quite eloquent, and I've gone back and I've watched it recently. To rehear it and refresh myself on what I was thinking about, because I thought that a lot of the concepts that I sort of just spewed forth, which is mostly what I do when I'm speaking. I don't have prep. I'm just spewing. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. But I thought that a lot of what I had said was interesting, and I wanted to refresh myself on that because part of the problem that you have when you speak is that very frequently, as you're speaking, the words go into your brain or come out of nowhere, right? They manifest as nothing out of your brain, and then they hit your mouth, and then they disappear, and they're gone forever. And that's, sometimes you'll catch me like, what the fuck was I just talking about? And fully diverting train of thought, or I'll go on a tangent and I'll get stuck on it, and I won't remember to loop back. I'm trying to get better at that, in particular, the looping back on tangents, and doing this, like, viewing the way that I structure a thought or a set of thoughts as like a branching path where I branch out and then return to the core trunk and then up again, or forward again through the conversation. But that's all just me saying, like, oh, I'm not that good, blah, blah. I just happened to be on that day. But you need some skill in order to let the luck actually come to fruition, right? So what do you do to get the skill in speaking so that you can speak more eloquently and can, as you put it, more impactfully communicate? And communicate effective ideas with impact. And I think it's the most important thing that any human being can learn to do. Like, straight up, is to communicate an idea. It's the most important thing that any human being can do, whatever that idea is. And it teaches you, if you can do it, you never have to be in an argument again. Never have to. I haven't been in an argument in forever, like forever, since I was arguing with my dad. Haven't been in a real argument since then. And the reason for that is because usually I can get the point across and just express whatever I'm expressing. And then the other thing that's really important is figuring out what the other person is trying to express and then expressing it back to them in your own words in a way that's better than the way that they're trying to express it. And then as long as you can get both sides of the argument and be like, well, what you're saying is XYZ and what I'm saying is ZYX. So we actually agree on like the Z and the Y. We're just putting them in a different order. So all we're really disagreeing on is the X. And I think this about it and you think this about it. And we don't need to make a decision about it. It's totally fine. We disagree. Cool. And you resolve the fucking conflict. It's amazing. Communication is super important. How do that? Well, first off, you need to be comfortable speaking. Like you need to know how your mouth works. And I think the best thing that you can do is to get a microphone and to be able to hear yourself, and to record yourself and to listen to yourself. And just talk about whatever. Talk about your day. Talk about what the video game you're playing. Talk about the books you've been reading. Talk about whatever. Just talk. And get more comfortable with just talking and just putting words that are not there into space and putting them out there, and suddenly they exist. And you'll get more familiar with the process of actually speaking. And then the second thing that I think you absolutely need to do, and I think that everybody needs to do, and I think that I need to do more, is you need to write. Writing is just like talking, except that you're not talking, and you have time. So talking is time-bound, right? In the same way that music is time-bound, it's beat, 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 beat. Talking is time-bound. You only have so much time to express a thought, and as you take breaks in that thought, like once you've said the first 3 words of a sentence, you can't go back and fix them unless you actually stop and stutter and go back and fix them. Once you've said, it's gone, right? It's already been said, so all I can do is continue that thought. Writing isn't like that, especially if you write on a computer, but I would recommend writing with your hands. It's really important. Our brains are really in tune with it, and the ability to take words from here and put them into your hand makes them firmer in your mind. It's why note-taking works, is because you're actually inscribing the words into your brain, because you're transitioning them from words that you're thinking that are that voice inside your head into mechanical action with your fingers, and that is literally inscribing them in different parts of your brain at the same time, which is fucking awesome. Right. So you need to write, and why you need to write is because you can go back and change things. So when you're speaking, you can speak a sentence and then go back and listen to it if you've recorded it and be like, okay, well, what I said was blah, 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 and what I wanted to say was blah, blah, blah. When you write out a sentence, you look at it, you can immediately go back and change it. Fantastic. Likewise, you can write a sentence, write another sentence, realize that you're going in a different direction than the first sentence, go back, move the sentences around, flip them around, switch things up, mix it, match it, figure out how to express a thought effectively without the pressure of having to express it effectively the first time, because that's what speaking is. Speaking is you get one chance, right? And if you fail to express a thought when you're speaking, people will stop listening to you. They'll just stop. They'll be like, oh, this guy can't express a thought. And you'll be like, no, no, no. 30 seconds later, I go back and I re-express the thought in a better way. Who gives a shit? You already failed. It's gone. Writing, however, nobody gets to see your first draft. Nobody needs to. So write more. And here's what I would recommend. I would recommend writing argumentative pieces. And that isn't to say writing things that cause arguments or are like trigger people, but write argumentative pieces. Take a thought, take an idea, take a concept, and argue for it over the course of a full paragraph, and make it like a page-long paragraph. Okay, like a few hundred words minimum, so that you take a single idea and do the thing that you were hopefully taught to do in school, and hopefully you had teachers that taught you how to write. And if you didn't, you need to start learning, because the ability to write and to effectively express a thought is fucking power. It is the needle. It is the sword. It is the pen. It is everything. The ability to write is everything, because it teaches you how to organize your thoughts. Literally, it teaches you how to think, how to convince someone else of something, how to convince yourself of something, how to prove if something is true, or at least prove a point to some extent. Now, maybe not a mathematically sound proof, but if you're taking an idea like, let's go with this one. Art is universal. Argue for it, okay? And then argue the other side, okay? Art is universal. Figure out a thesis statement that says art is universal and says it with the base argument in it, and then figure out a structure of another set of sentences that each of which is a point in your favor, right? Each of which states something. And then aim them all toward that thesis statement, and then structure out the paragraph that follows it or contains that thesis statement so that it makes sense point by point going through the argument and wraps up with a finishing thought that brings it all together. If you can do that, if you can tie together a bundle of a few hundred words that expresses a point, then the next time you try to express a point with your speech, you're going to be better at it, because you're going to have that fundamental structure in the back of your head. So my answer, how do you get to be so eloquent in your discussions? First off, get lucky. But also, make sure that all the things that seem like luck aren't actually luck. Get your sleep, eat well, read more, write more, and then practice and write more. You have to write. I don't think there's a way around it. You have to write. You have to learn how to write an outline. You have to learn how to write a paragraph. You have to learn how to make an argument. And then once you can do that slowly, you can do it quickly. If I could play it slowly, I could play it quickly. Thanks, Two-Set. Shit. No, but that's it. If you can take a thought and an argument or an idea, and you can express it effectively slowly, then you can teach yourself how to express it effectively more quickly. And I think that's the fundamental of it. So practice it. And every time that you get assigned an essay or anything, fucking treat it as a practice experience, because it is. It's an ability to practice the thing. It's great. Also, read more. Read more from good writers, because you only have so many words in your brain, and your vocabulary probably isn't where it should be. Most people today do not have a strong vocabulary, because they can look up whatever words they want. We can just sort of offload a lot of our brain capacity to the internet. And also because we don't talk about complicated things as nearly enough. Also because we don't read nearly enough. We read like Twitter posts and shit, but we don't read. So read. And I don't care what you read. Read fantasy, read fiction, read whatever. It doesn't matter, because what you're going to do is you're going to run across words that you've never seen before, or combinations of words that you've never seen before, or characters that express things in interesting ways, or just ideas that are expressed in interesting ways. And you'll see that even in those fantasy stories, there are arguments being made. There are structured thoughts being presented. Like there's a core argument in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. And I mean, there are like a dozen. There's one about how people should be, right? The whole life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. That is an argument about how humans should live, how they should be. Dalinar's code, the way that Dalinar Kholin looks at the world, that is an argued out position. And it's argued not in a structured like English paper sentence or paragraph where it's like, one should be good to other people and should uphold their duties and never lie and things like that, right? It's not like that. Instead, the argument is the story. What happens to Dalinar because of the way that he lives is the argument for his code. And not all of it is good, but it's a structured, really sound argument, honestly. There's another argument in the Stormlight Archives, and the argument is about the power of women and the true flaws that occur in Alethi society because of the specific separations and the gendered structure that they have. And it's not a specific argument against it or for it or anything. It's just presented as part of the story. But as we watch certain characters, male and female, struggle against the bonds of their gendered norms, essentially, we come to this understanding that some of these people are hyper competent and they're not able to show it because they're female. And that structure shatters eventually as we move forward, right? Because of radiance, and literally of radiant. These are things, and I'm just referencing Stormlight Archive because it's on the tip of my tongue, back of my mind. But read more, write more, talk more. You want to get better at something? Do it more. That's the answer. If you go to the gym, you figure this out real quick, right? Oh man, you figure it out so quick. People will ask me, they'll be like, oh, how do I get better at squats? Squat? Do it more? Oh, but how do I get better at deadlifts? How do I get stronger at deadlifts? Like picking things up off the ground. Pick more things up off the ground. This is how your body works, right? And it's how your brain works too. Do a thing more. Learn how to do it better. Do it more. Learn how to do it better. Go to the gym, watch other people perform the exercise, watch videos of people performing the exercise, geniuses, like top tier people, trainers, coaches, people who know what they're doing, watch them performing the exercise, then go and fail to perform the exercise and then do it like 30 more times until you start getting better at it. It's what you got to do. And in the same sense, like writing is performing the exercise, speaking is performing a different part of the exercise, reading is watching somebody else perform the exercise and figuring out what they're doing. Do all three and you'll become good at the thing. That's it. That's my whole strong-ass, long-ass answer to your question, Anthony Chen. I appreciate the compliment inherent in your question. It is nice to hear, as someone who talks for a living, that you think that I do it well. That's super cool. But the answer is to do it more and to speak more and to record yourself. Do a lot of recording yourself. Now, I have the massive benefit of having spent my entire high school career as a debater, right? Like literally getting up on stages and talking about stuff and arguing with human beings about stuff, and being pretty good at it because I read a lot and I wrote a lot and I talked a lot. So that's where my practice came in, and mostly I don't practice it anymore. It just happens, and it happens best when I'm on a good day, and it happens worse when I'm not on a good day. And that's it. That's the whole shebang. Okay, I hope this was helpful to you. I hope this was helpful to anybody watching it. I hope that maybe there are some people watching this who have like exams or classes or stuff, and they're like, how do I essay? And maybe they accidentally stumble upon this and are like, oh, I have to essay more, I suppose. It sucks. It sucks. I think a lot of people really don't like writing, and I think that's so dumb. I think it's so stupid. I understand it. It's hard. It's difficult. Oh man, it's so difficult to look at a blank piece of paper, a blank screen, and be like, what do I write? What do I put on this paper? You gotta start writing. I would also recommend doing like research papers and setting out outlines. And what I mean is when you do the research, and this is how I structured every single debate case that I've ever done and every argumentative essay that I've ever done, or research-oriented essay that I've ever done. I go and I'll find all the research that I can, bits and pieces, and then I'll write one line to summarize each quote or each section. Or if I'm just doing quotes, I'll just grab the quotes, right? And I'll just put them, and I'll end up with like 3 pages of double-spaced quotes or lines or whatever of research, or 2 pages or 1 page, however many I've got. And then for each of those, I'll write I'll write around it. I'll write a little blurb around it that's like half a paragraph. That is, it essentially follows the structure. Piece of argument is X. This is proof of piece of argument from quote. Therefore, argument stronger. Okay? like if we were saying art is universal is the or like is our thematic sentence, or like there are universal underlying truths in art, I would be like, I believe that there are universal underlying truths in art because blank statement from other text, therefore adds to my theory, right? And then structure all those little pieces out and then organize them so that they're all grouped together and then smash them together so that they're all paragraphs and write the filler in between. And you've got an A plus essay every time. Every time. Every time. I've never gotten a low score on an essay. I don't know how, but I do know how. It's because I do that. That's just it. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting tangenty, eloquently tangenty, I hope. But I hope this has helped to some extent, Anthony, and anybody else who's read it. Great. Or who's watching this. Wonderful. Okay. Finally, we can move on. This has been the longest intro discussion I've done in a long time. That's okay. There were some great comments, and it was worth it. So we are going to turn our attention to Ousama ranking, episode 12. I've got it up and ready. I actually think I need to do another timer sync thing, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go use the bathroom and get reset up. So I will see you in a second, and we will talk about getting into the episode. All right, welcome back. We are ready to go for Ousama ranking, episode 12. Last time, Daida found out that he was a fool. Oken, Lord Commander of some kind of knights, was in prison, and now he's not. I think Moranjo let him go, but I'm not sure why. He and a bunch of his goons, seemingly all put in front of us as, like, challenges that we must face, which seems interesting, have now captured Daida Bose, and they are just in the throne room with swords. And that's bad. I think. It might not be bad. I don't know. It's a little bit confusing. And all of our other characters are sort of on a collision course. Of course, Desha is not happy, but we are riding with the other Knights of the Under. I don't actually remember the group names, but we're riding with the homies. Healing is riding with some other homies, and they're all heading to the castle. And going to the castle, and we're gonna fight some bad guys, and that's it. That's where we're at. Of course, there's so much more going on with all of the characters and all the ideas present here. And then Domas and folks are still on the way, and Appius is still guarding the place, and Miranjo's back, but things are weird, and I don't know what's going to happen. But we, I think, are moving into Core 2. And I think, now I don't expect them to do this, but we've done the setup to turn this show into a battle shonen, if that's the goal, and I don't know that it is. But we have it if we want to. We can have ya boy, Boji, the weakest boy, fight all these strong people and fight them one by one and have a bunch of fights, and it'll be like a tournament arc. And tournament arc! And that would be cool. But it seems like uncomplicated for this show. It seems too uncomplicated. It seems too easy. So I don't know what is actually going to happen, and I don't know what to expect. But we are in for a few minutes of recap, and then maybe a new OP, and maybe a full episode, and yay! So let's go ahead and watch Ousama ranking episode 12. Yeah, oh God, I have to shill too. No. Two versions, beep beep fuck. Two versions, picture-in-picture version in the description, timer version on YouTube, links in the description, timer. I did it. Okay. Boom. Yeah, there we go. Ha ha. I'm gonna fucking do it. Fuck you. Oh, impossible. Bakara. Masaka. Hey. Damn right. No, you'll be walking alongside him, dude. Yep. Oh, he is. But Atanimaida, of course. But then Dakedo. Oof. Oh, he's gonna go get the sword. Oh man. What a scene. It did need some work, though. Oh, a little Boji with all the... Yeah. 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 All right. And here. Indeed. Oh. So badass. Indeed. Oh, nah. Nobody. And nobody. Oh, man. Woo, so much has happened. Ah. Nutty. Oh. Oh. Oh, budgie. Yeah. Nobody to help ya. Oh, for sure. Ah. So sick. Whee! Shit, we're both trapped. Pat. Both big boys seeing each other again. Man, we're skimming through this stuff. Boom. Bam. Nice. Rocky. Shing. Ha. Yeah. I got. We're going. Oh, yeah. Okay, she fully did bring them back. And here we are. New OP. Oh, the shadow things. Oh. Each of them alone. Oh. 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 Those were all speared shadows. Whoa. Right now, the hero doesn't need power. Whoa. A shattered mirror? What? Zembu, indeed. Hello, what? Was that Hokuro hard training? Wait, who is that? With the snakes? Healing with the tears. Despa. Shake off the power that comes from malice. Right? The mask shatters. In the shadow. Woo! Ow, ow! Very cool. The footsteps of war. Wow, that was a cool OP. I'm worried, dog. Rest is important. Yeah. 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 Hmm. I don't know, man. That guy's holding that guy on a chain? What? What? Just so chaos? Literally? You actually are just literally the embodiment of chaos, Marad? Really? Right, people make sense. Chaos. Yo, that throws me for a loop. And Oken is just in the back, right? That is Oken, right? We mentioned that. Yeah. Kigan. Fallen Royalty Kingbow. The subs are off. Sword King of the Underworld. Ah. Do whatever you please. My puppets. It doesn't matter. Ha ha ha. Isn't that the mirror? Whoa, Kingbow. Why is he the fallen king? Ha. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We could just be one of those. Oh, there are a lot of those. Ah, maybe we shouldn't, guys. Yeah, let's just chill. Fair enough. Hey. Why is that a diamond? And what was that scene in the OP of the... Oh! What? Why did it become a diamond? Yeah, we noticed. That guy fucking scares me. Huh? There was more to that should than just like a should. So weird. So not what I expected. Indeed. Yeah, man. Wait, what? What? Yeah. Wonder what Desha said. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's like a poodle. It's like a poodle horse. Did it die? Oh. Ah. Getting going. Really living it up, huh? We took real good care. Shit. You just let that shit happen? Oh. Oh no! My love! So happy. Get the fuck out of the way. What a sequence. Yeah. Oh, he's still coming on that thing. That's why we're not staying and waiting for him. I suppose. So, here we are. Hello, boss A. What are you thinking about, man? Interesting mid-roll choice. I don't know. I think she wants to sow chaos. Right. No, it's perfect for you. But why is it perfect for her? Oh, jeez. Maybe don't let Kingbo fuck around right now. Oh, jeez. You wish. Dude, they've fully overpowered Boss A, Daida. Haha. My guy. That seems like something you shouldn't have done, Kingbo. Nah, dude. Watch out for the quiet ones. Why? Sure. Hi. I don't know. I got no clue. So they all think their own goals, their own desires. What? What the fuck? Is he withholding rage? Arrival. What fools. Like, she knows something. I mean, I suspect that Oken is a problem. Immediately. What? 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 You're just gonna bleed him out? I don't know, dude, if that's the case. I fucking fully don't know. No, your wrists are slit, dude. You got no tendons. Yeah. You're just gonna bleed. No. Goes and sits in the chair. No. Doesn't even give a fuck. The little blush, what the fuck? Here you go, buddy. You want the jingle jangle? No? Oh, my guy. Boy King. Wow, what a face. Sorry, there's a trash truck. Oh, there's that guy. Gain a compassionate heart and become stronger. Compassion, eh? What the fuck? What? What? Oh, you load it for me. Oh, cover me. Cool. Aw. Cute. Oh, that's cute. I'm down. Great. They're finally. Seems too late, right? They're already there, but I guess not. I don't know. Obvious. Yep. Hello. Fucking shit. Again. Thorshi. Detaka. I need to know more. Does he know what there is? It's been in your son's room forever, dog. I don't know. Oh. Oh, that makes sense. No, that tracks. That tracks. Why? I don't know. Hey. Aw. I can't eat him? Go snakes. He's still alive. Yeah. Oh, that's really cute. Oh, it's really cute. Oh, it's all paperwork. This is great. It's so cute. Dude, I have no clue about most of the content of bye. No clue about most of the content of this episode. Like, what the fuck? The whole Oaken scene is just blah. I got nothing. And that's the point. It's really good. Okay. All the bad guys, including Kingbo. This imagery is fantastic. Cute. Fairy tale pop-up storybook sort of style. Great. Hey. Okay. Well, the recap was fun. The actual situation I fully don't understand because I don't know what the deal is with Oaken. And that's like the point of most of this section is just like, Oaken be scary and you don't know what he's going to do. We've talked about this before. Unpredictability is way more scary than just the monster that you know is going to be the monster. So that was great. I thought they did the whole recap section really admirably. They utilized music really effectively to flow through the different pieces and just zoomed through it in a really solid way that I thought was great. Up through training and straight through, and we get like 5 minutes in, and that's it, baby. That's the whole thing. We set out. And in this, he reaches for his sword once more, can't get it, and fucking dies, but he doesn't. And we throw him off the building, and they find him. Okay, back up, moving toward things. Miranjo in the mirror, Lady Miranjo. Bunch of people recognize her. Super confusing. Healing's like, where have I seen that before? It was on your kid's bookshelf, dog. You fucked up. And they find the boy, the Kingbo, and they snake him up. And he is alive. Interesting. But what can you do with a crazy king? And he's not the same crazy king, right? He is similar to him, but he's not the same one. He's another crazy king. How many crazy kings are there? And why did his father do that to him? I'm actually really curious about this seemingly side character. Very interesting. But a whole bunch of this episode is a bunch of setup stuff that doesn't actually go anywhere. And so there isn't like a huge thematic revelation that we can talk through for like an hour. Instead, we did that at the beginning this time. And that's totally fine. So I don't think there's anything in particular that I should need to talk about. This was a cool episode. It was very well put together. There are some crazy fight scenes, just a little bit. The Oaken thing is crazy in a different way from being like Sakuga crazy. It's like emphasis crazy. Like what the fuck was that? I don't know. I'm curious to see where we go from here. But I need to wrap. So, I've been Teeaboo. This has been Ousama Ranking. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a subscription. All those things are good. If you really like it, hit me up on Patreon. You can get early access to next week's episode, and that's very cool. And also help me to survive, which is very important for me because I like eating. Very helpful. I'll see you next week for more Ousama Ranking. Sorry that this discussion ended up being super front heavy, and like, oh man, my hiccups are coming back. Ended up being super front heavy, and like the episode is like 4 minutes of recap, and then everything that happens in it, a lot of it is just like progress on the things that we've already seen are happening, and then some weird shit that's fully inexplicable, and I can't spend more time just being like, what was that? Because you get it. You get it. I've expressed everything that I feel like expressing. Ooh, that's actually a cool point about, I think it was Andrew's comment earlier about eloquence. Know when to stop. Know when to stop. When you've expressed the things that you need to express, stop writing more. This is your goal. And this is a crazy goal because in school, it's the opposite. It's like write enough to fulfill the requirement of the writing thing. But I think your goal, whenever you write an essay or a piece of something or whatever, is to condense it as hard as possible and cut it off when it's done. Say only what you need to say it as quickly and concisely as possible, and get done with it. Now, that isn't obviously what happens because I'm a rambly fuck, but it is a good motivator and a good tool as well. Know when to stop. It's important. And I know that right now is the time to stop. So I will see you next week for more Ousama ranking. Thanks so much for watching, and I love you very much. Appreciate you and everything that you do for me. I hope you enjoy my content, and I'll see you next time for more of this beautiful, beautiful, lovely little show. Peace.